All right, welcome everyone. Monday with Masami today. And today's September 28th. Wow. Okay, so October is coming this week. And the full moon, I believe. I think it's this Wednesday. So a lot going on with many retrogrades that I've lost count after about 6 of them. But I think there are like 7 or so going on right now. So there's a lot, and I thought the theme today has been coming to me over the weekend quite a bit. Just kept saying, come back to this body. Come home to this body. So that's where we're going to begin. And hopefully you can get in touch with yourself a little bit. And I just read an Asian proverb. I will look at it to see which country it is. But the proverb says, what you cannot find in your body, you will not find anywhere else. Sorry, my email's on, so let me turn that off again and say this. So what you cannot find in your body, you will not find anywhere else. So I am really feeling that we need to come back to this body. Oh, okay, so can you hear me okay, Chris? Is it better? Okay, so my hair was actually rubbing on the my microphone, sounds like so. So let's come back to our bodies in many ways, and I'm going to take you through a couple different methods today. Okay, so first of all, let's just relax into your seat. You can either close your eyes or you can even just have them slightly opened. And if you have them slightly opened, you're not trying to focus on anything in particular here. Okay, you're there, you're aware of the light coming in, you're aware of things around you, but nothing that you're like reading or focusing on right now. And about maybe 4 to 5 feet in front of you will be a great spot. Many of us have the computer screen right in front, so it may not be that precise, but just a gentle gaze, quieting the mind. And if it works better for you to close your eyes, feel free to do that. Kind of a personal preference. I tend to do better if my eyes are slightly open in meditation. As soon as I close my eyes, I get very distracted. So I stay slightly opened. And just start to notice your breath. Just nothing to be changed, but the slight cool air coming in through the nostrils. And then the warmed air, slightly warmer air, brushing against the nostrils. And then maybe the top lip. So see if you could feel the sensation right at the top lip. And go ahead and press your hands towards your thighs. Just gentle pressure, nothing major. And your thighs pressing up slightly towards your palms as well, meeting the pressure. And then gently letting that go. Relax your palms and your thighs. We'll do this 3 more times. Each time you just let the body know, I'm here. Press your hands lightly towards your thighs. Slight smile on your face. And then relax your thighs and your hands. And again, pressing. Then relaxing. And now slowly bring your attention down to your ankles and the tops of your feet, between your toes, and to the bottom of your feet. And as if you are walking on a warm sandy beach, just feel that gentle earthly pressure on the bottom of your feet. And if you're more a tactile person like I am, I like to wiggle my toes. And I almost do right foot, left foot, back and forth a couple of times to really engage in that beach walk. Helps me to not just imagine, but I have the physical experience with this. And then slowly relax the movements of your feet if you have been moving them. Just stand at the beach, your perfect spot. You might be watching the sunrise, or you might be watching the sunset, depending on where you live, what you're used to. So bringing in the sunlight inward, breathing in through your heart center. And as you breathe out, you're breathing out into the sunlight. You can dance between the sunlight and you. A slight smile on your face. As you breathe in, see if you could feel gratitude moving through your body. And then giving the same gratitude back out into the atmosphere. Breathing in joy. And breathing out joy. Joy is always with you. And it may be the semantics or, just a slight difference in nuance, but the happiness is something that you feel, and then that happiness may go away. But the undercurrent of joy is always with us no matter what. And you can access that by slight smile on your face and tapping into your heart center. So breathing in, smiles from the skies and the heavens and the earth, then smile back at them. And slowly one more breath in, joyful breath coming in, color it whatever you like, pink, yellow, green, fuchsia, maybe rainbow colors coming in, and breathing out from your heart center now. And slowly wiggle your toes and your fingers. Begin to roll your shoulders. I'm going to slowly come back to your body a little bit more today, so there'll be a little more movements involved. Sitting down is fine. So I'd like for you to gather up the chi between your hands. And many of you do practice yoga, qigong, tai chi, any of those, okay? In Japan, it's called kiko, but just bring ki, you know the word ki, right? So bring the ki right between your hands. And some days are just a little bit, we need to get a little closer to feel it. Like today, I feel like I need to get a little closer to feel my ki or prana ball. And then start to make them a little bit softer and stretch up like taffy. So moving them. And then slowly extend that chi out and reach up to the sky. And then drawing the chi back down to your core, to your dantian. So bring it down to your second chakra, first chakra. And then expand your chi apart, giant ball of energy. Bring it up again. If your shoulders hurt to do reaching up, just go to the front. Okay, reach where you feel comfortable. And then draw the chi back in. Let's do this slowly with your own rhythm. I like to look up a little bit as I'm reaching and then pulling energy down, pulling energy. And once you get down to your first and second chakra area, palms start to face down and press the chi down towards the legs. Release them out of your feet. Let's do this 2 more times. Reaching up, gathering the chi up from the earth and you. And then pull that down. Slow it down if you need to. Really press that chi down, down through the legs, down to your ankles, down through the feet. And then one more. Good. And then our brains do better when they're integrated, in the world that we've been living and occupying. We like to create things that are separate, right? But there is a separate hemispheres, left and right, they're separate. Right eye, left nostril, right nostril, so on and so forth. But the integration, that's the word that I've been talking about over and over. Integration is the key right now. Okay. So to integrate, there's this thing that I learned years ago from working at a school that Chris used to work at. I would go and teach kindergarten through the ninth grade. And there's this method, and there are a lot of other methods. Okay. So you can choose whatever, but the whole point is to cross our bodies. So we're integrating the right and left, the front and back, top and bottom, and so on and so forth. The ones that a lot of kids use, and it was something that I learned, it's called brain gym. Okay, so it's all about crossing your body to one side and crossing to the other side. Okay, so let's take our time and cross our bodies going to right or left. It doesn't matter if you're sitting on the chair, you can hold on to the back of the chair and pull yourself a little bit, tug towards that side, like you're wringing yourself, okay, wringing out the stressors. Whenever you twist, you are going to be stimulating your liver and gallbladder. So let's stay on this one side and taking a deep or slow breath up the spine. And then as you exhale, go ahead and release that out. Think of something that's maybe frustrating to you, maybe even angering you. Things are just residual resentment. Squeeze that out. And as you inhale, slowly return to center. Give that yourself a little bit of joyful smile. And then when you're ready, as you exhale, let's go over to the other side. Keep your feet planted. Keep your knees pointing forward. Maybe even feel like your knees are getting pulled to the front as you extend the spine upward. And as you exhale, slowly twist towards whichever side you're choosing to do so. And I'm twisting towards my right, so I'm going to be paying a little more attention to my larger part of my liver. And then breathing out. Liver is very much connected to your third chakra as well. So I'm bringing a little bit of sunlight into that space. And then breathing out. And then slowly come back to center. And then go ahead and cross your arms at your elbows. And if you could wrap your arms around, that'll be great. If not, just halfway is fine. Just even like this is great. Okay. If you can bring your palms closer to each other, press your palms towards each other. Good. And see if you could lift your elbows up a little bit to maybe shoulder height. Drop your shoulder blades down the back. And then slowly come back in. And then switching your arms. Remember which one was on the top? I think I do. Okay. All right. So as you cross, now what I want you to think about is, what are some of your goals that require you to be in a linear part of the brain, like step-by-step fashion? What do you need to get done for your goal in your life? Could be health, could be finance, it could be relationship, okay? It could be that you just need to sleep better. So think about linearly, what do you need to do to get that accomplished? And as you move up and down with your shoulders and then your elbows, I want you to visualize yourself doing those steps, feeling into going to bed early, feeling into what you can do to maybe accomplish a better relationship with the relationship you already have? Is it more reaching out to that person? Then maybe imagine you're reaching to that person's shoulder or a hand. And then release your arms. And let's do that again on the other side again. So think about the goals that you have, or maybe your desire. How are you going to get there? So get a little bit more linear here. Think about it. What are the steps? What's the first step? What's the second step? Maybe up to 5 steps. Think about it clearly. And as you move your elbows up and down, as you breathe, and then shoulder blades down the back, visualize those steps that you're taking. And then release. And last one on the other side, coming on the top. Same thing. Activate your left brain. Think about what are the steps you need to take. Concrete steps, not just wish, but what are some of the obstacles that you may face? What are the plans you need to make? Once you have that clearly stated, and your left brain is very much in participating in this plan, in this goal, then start to move your elbows up and down as you are imagining yourself doing them, tasting them, feeling them, sensing them. Maybe it has a shape to it, colors to it. Get the feeling involved in it. What does that make you feel when you take the first step? What about the second step? And then release those wings out. Open up your chest. And then closing, rounding your back, reaching your arms forward. And then opening the wings again. You cannot fly unless both of your wings are integrated, right? So imagine you're flying towards your goal, towards your desire with both of your wings. And then one more. And then slowly coming back, resting your palms on your thighs, coming back to your original seating position we started with today. Good. And I wanted to take all of you through a hand breathing meditation today. Okay, hands are so important, and this will help us integrate better the right, left, front, back, side to side. I just was on a call with one of my clients this morning, and I just realized how this isn't just her either today. It's just almost all across the board, and I would say for me too. And I'm curious if you are feeling this too, but it's this like a sense of you're being split apart. You're just pulled apart, not just right and left, but top and bottom. Just feels so disjointed. So that's kind of what's happening right now with planetarily wise too, but politically and environmentally, just there's like a lot of being pulled apart. And I was having a hard time integrating, and to be honest with you, I just kind of like fell apart yesterday. And Chris and I do not get into lots of fights, but we were kind of yelling at each other yesterday. And that does not happen. I mean, Chris is not the type of person that will raise his voice, but it was like we both needed to have some vocal, it wasn't even directed at each other per se. We were in the room, but we were definitely feeling each other's tension. And within ourselves, there's a lot of pinned up energies that just don't have a place to go to. So do what you can to like do a little bit of marching. Okay. If you're a drummer, drum. Okay. If you could hum loudly, sing a song would be great. We had one of our best friends over to our house over the weekend. He was helping us with our leaky bathroom that we're fixing right now, and it's looking good, much better. But he was singing his heart out, and I thought, that's fantastic. And we played the like 70s and mostly 70s music, and some of the bands that I don't know much about, but I could just hear him singing his heart out, and made me so happy. And was it Led Zeppelin that he was playing loudly to? Yeah. So we're having a great time. So anyway, it's like, if it's some of your old music, pull it out, just sing. It doesn't matter what it is, but use some of the voices to let go of the pinned up tension. Because I think a lot of our nervous system is getting challenged, and autonomic nervous system, particularly on the parasympathetic side, is getting challenged. And when you challenge your parasympathetic side, meaning when you're in a fight or flight for so long, you can go from a fight or flight to eventually freeze mode, meaning you can become a possum. Basically you're just like in a frozen, inside the cocoon in a turtle shell. You don't want to come out, and you're just frozen in space. And you just feel like, I can't do anything anymore. I can't go out and talk about it anymore. I don't even want to go out and express this. I don't even want to go out to the garden. So there's a freeze mode that starts to happen. The quickest way to get back into motion, because the motion is life, everyone. When you stop moving, life stops. Okay. Change is the only constant thing in this world. Right? That's it. The Taoists have always said that change is the only constant thing. So if you're not changing, meaning you're not moving, and your lymphatic system is stuck, your digestive system is either so stuck and you're constipated, or you're so overwhelmed that there's no stoppage, that's not good either. So you're going on the runny stool side. So either way, the movements are being asked of us to reconsider and to change. And the best way to do that is to get in touch with the throat center. Throat chakra is very, very important for that. Okay. So this is where a lot of people get choked up. This is epidemic, right? We have an epidemic of autoimmune conditions like Hashimoto's or hypothyroidism, because we are getting so choked up in our throat. Okay. So the best thing you can do is to do humming sounds, like hum, right? So do that more regularly, so you don't get to the point of screaming at each other. Okay. Like Chris and I did over the weekend. If you could hum a little more regularly, sing a song. Okay. Gargle. Okay. Gargle really loudly. That's a good one. And another one that I gently introduced it to you today was to feel the upper lip. This sounds weird, okay? But when you cannot scream because you're at work, or you're in the place that you just cannot be humming, or you cannot express yourself very easily, you just bring your right hand or the left hand, it doesn't matter, okay? Non-dominant hand is actually better. And you just actually touch your upper lip, okay? This actually shifts your nervous system from full-on fight or flight to a balanced place, and from freeze mode to flow. It's such a strange spot, isn't it? So when you're in the meeting or something, you could put your elbow down or something, or like you could be pretending like you're listening and thinking. You could do this, all right? That's literally a fabulous way to shift your nervous system. You don't want to get stuck, okay? Whenever the river the flow gets dammed up, that's when the algae starts to grow. That's when it starts to smell. That's when the fish can't swim in it. That's when things starts to get toxic in there. So flow is what you're looking for. But it's the flow that you can manage. It's not the flow that will drown you, right? That's going to be individual. All right. So that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. And I was kind of excited to revisit couple of my teachers. So over the weekend, I had a talk with my she's 78-year-old, my Ayurveda yoga teacher. And we had a really good talk. But I was telling her that I've been going over my notes, that, because she's just given me so many wonderful things. So every time I talk, I write the notes and things. And then I opened a page to a hand. She told me to put a hand on the piece of paper and draw my own hand. And then she said, keep that hand available, readily available, so you can go visit your hand. And so today I'm not going to go into the entire system of the hand, okay? But I want to teach you a little bit of hand breathing, okay? It's a very compassionate kind of a breathing. And each finger, okay, has its own emotions, has its own chakra connections, and has its own organs, okay, and has its own function. So that will be, like a whole workshop, right? So I'm going to just take a couple emotions and then share this with you. And I also realized that I had another knowledge from one of my teachers, was a Jinshin Jutsu teacher. And he's an incredible Zen teacher also. But he taught me about the Jinshin Jutsu. It's a Japanese style pulse reading, energy reading. It's a very gentle practice. And he told me about the emotions too. So let's do that, okay? And so I just want you to kind of imagine, okay, if you happen to slam a hammer onto your left thumb, let's say, immediately what happens, right, in your body? Yeah, it hurts and you make maybe sounds or something like that. But probably a very next thing that happens is your right hand will come to rescue that thumb, right? It'll probably come to it and say, oh my goodness, darling, right? You are in pain. This is a gesture that I want you to remember when you feel absolutely alone, or when you feel like you have nobody that cares for you, or you just feel so like in the dark and stuck. You just always know that the support system is in you already. Okay, so that's the proverb that I read at the beginning. What you cannot find in your body, you will not find anywhere else. Okay, so find it in you first. So let's say if you injured your thumb, bring your right hand over to your left thumb. Okay, and you can just bring it down to the table or your thigh or wherever that's comfortable. And you can choose to close your eyes or just lightly closing the eyes. And this is the emotion of mostly like worry, okay, and the tension you feel that comes from anxiety and worry. There's a lot of emotional pain involved with the thumb. So just tune into some of your stressors that are caused by mainly from your worry. And worry happens often when you focus too much on the future. So now as you hold your left thumb with your right hands wrapped around it, very gently though, notice your pulse on that thumb. And bringing that kind of understanding, the compassion and empathy for that thumb. And then let's slowly move to your index finger now. So the same fashion, you gently wrap your right hand around your left index finger. And see if you could feel the pulse. And this is so much to do with fear. And worry and fear are different, okay? So just feel into that difference there. And when we go into fear, this will end up impacting your digestion a lot and your lower back. So what you can do with fear is to stay in this moment. Fear comes from you not being in this moment. So you don't need to fix anything. Just the right hand coming to accept those feelings, understanding that feelings. It's the right hand is listening in to you. Just like if your friend, your best friend expressed you that he or she is fearful of maybe the next doctor's appointment. Maybe she is already going into chemotherapy and she's very, very fearful of what's to come. Your right hand would come to her and gently listen to her. That's what you're doing. So listen to the pulse. And this finger happens to be very connected to your fourth chakra. And next, let's move to your third, so your middle finger. And this will not surprise you what emotion is. You might be able to guess it. It's anger and frustration. And the fatigue that gets caused by anger and frustration. So it's a different fatigue than, fear or worry kind of a fatigue, but it's from being so frustrated. You find yourself so exhausted from it. So listen to the body that's expressing anger and frustrations. And next, it's your ring finger. Find your pulse there if you can. If not, don't worry. And you start to learn how to read your pulse as you do this hand breathing meditation. If you feel a lot of pulsation, that's the one that you are having most energetic movements and flow. It's not always a good thing, right? It's not good or bad, but you may need to allocate that towards something else. So that the ring finger is very much connected to your grief and sadness. And it's a ring finger, and so it's a lot to do with the relationship, close relationships, family relationships, partners. And part of the feeling of letting go also. Letting go of maybe relationships that are not working anymore. And that's causing you to have grief. I think there was a lot of that happened in September. And then the pinky. And this is what made me laugh and smile a little bit, because I kept having my pinky finger be stuck over the weekend. And I thought, what in the world is going on? And this is very much connected to you trying too hard, and it's connected to your self-esteem. And what helps with it is to bring laughter back into your life. So check in with yourself. What are you really hard on yourself about? What questions your self-esteem? What made you doubt yourself? And then go ahead and slowly come to the palm of your hand now and just rub that with your thumb. This is the integration point. Okay, this is probably the most important point because everything gets integrated and digested right there. So massaging that, this is the nourishment for everything. And I remember my grandfather, who was born in the 1800s, used to massage his hands like all the time. I was like the teeny little kid then, but I would watch him and I'm like, why does he drink the raw egg yolks in the morning and sweeps the front and splashes water out the front so the gods can come in without dustiness? And then he massages hands like all the time. But he was an incredible musician and he used his voices a lot. And so he needed to work with his hands because he played an instrument too. But this is the place that you really want to massage the palm. So go ahead and massage your right palm to integrate it. You can do your finger meditations on your own after, okay? Because this will be recorded and posted. So, but integrate them, okay? And rub them together. And in Japan, we do this a lot, but we go like this. Okay, that's a great, 3 times is a great one. Okay, you could do more, but 3 is generally just smash. Okay, clap, clap, 3. And pretty hard, and then you feel, my hands are pretty red now. Okay, completely integrated, it's moving through, it's nourishing. So whenever you feel stuck, throat center as well as do the fingers in your hands. You can even, get back into your throat and massage your throat with your hands. Remember these are your tools, right? You don't need a bunch of tools. You don't need all these like fantastic tools that are out there. I have a lot of those too, but I constantly come back to my own hands. Okay, here you are, you have them. Okay, so those are the things that I wanted to share with you, and hopefully you can use the hand breathing, okay, and then know the each emotions. Maybe draw your own hands on a piece of paper and write them down, post it somewhere, and whenever you need to address them, or you start to notice like, oh gosh, my thumb, like why is my thumb so painful? And I have to point this out to the crowd, everyone, about Chris. Chris has been having middle finger pain, right? Is that right, Chris? And I've been having to like adjust them, and I'm pulling and I'm massaging it. But I think there's like a deep frustration in that man, I think, right? Chris, I love you, but I think you may have to work on your anger points. So, and I need to work on my pinky because this just kept going out of whack over the weekend, especially my left one. I think I've been trying too hard, and my self-esteem and all that just got kind of a wacky. So I needed to come back to grounding. So those are the couple things I wanted to share. I figured, I thought this might be a good day to do this instead of just have me talk to you about all kinds of things, because the October's body checkup is coming up anyway, and that's when I will share more. Okay. And I had a question that came into my Facebook page, and so I wanted to address that. Susan asked about ashwagandha, and she said that her work is getting really stressful, and there's a lot of demand on the team and her workload. And one of her coworkers, or some of the coworkers, are starting to take ashwagandha, and she asked if that was good for her. And she also said, do you work more on an individual, bio-individual thing? And then the answer is yes, I do. I like to work with people more on a bio-individual level. But what I did was, after that question, I actually went and checked her body against the ashwagandha. And the ashwagandha was a very positive thing for her. And I just wanted to mention a little bit about ashwagandha for those of you that don't know. It's an adaptogen. So adaptogen means it can go either hyper or hypo depending on your body's needs. And ashwagandha is very much loved by your adrenals. Also, if you support your adrenals, and your thyroid's going to love you for that. Okay. You can't address your thyroid until and unless you address your adrenals. Okay. On a little bit of a side note, I wanted to tell you, everyone, that over the weekend and in the last maybe 10 days, I started to lose clumps of my hair. Like literally clumps of them were coming out. I thought, what in the world is going on? So I muscle tested all kinds of things on myself. Chris was helping me. And where we landed and where I landed was my adrenals. I had no idea that my adrenals were that fried. But I can see why now, because I just haven't been taking much time off, and there's been a lot of focus and just internal, external. There's been a lot going on in everybody's lives, right? So I did not realize how much I was kind of frying my adrenals. They were getting all shrunken up and shriveled up, and they were drying up. So what I started doing today, and I actually turn my body around very fast once my body, mind, spirit is all connected. I'm one of those people that I can see the difference within about 4 hours. So I started taking adrenal glands this morning, adrenal glandular support. I do take ashwagandha, but it just wasn't even enough. So I wanted to say just one more thing about the ashwagandha. I do love ashwagandha. Okay. I think really good quality ashwagandha is a good stabilizer, and because it'll balance you from not going too high, too low, right? However, with all herbs, you have to remember that they are gentle in its effect. Okay. So it's helpful in long term, not, and in certain herbs, you don't want to take forever either, right? But you have to give it some time. When it comes to herbs, you do want to give it at least 3 months for that to start to show, major changes in your life. Okay. And it's one of those things that the people say, I take this and this and that herbs, but it doesn't seem to be doing much for me. Well, that's because maybe your issue is needing a little bit more support than just doing gentle herbs. Okay. So that's just something to remember. And you may need to work with, Chinese herbalists or Ayurveda practitioners or your practitioners, medical practitioners, to see if you could take a little bit higher dose of ashwagandha to make any difference. But Susan, when I tuned into you, ashwagandha was fine. But another thing that really came up for me was zinc for you. Zinc, zinc, zinc. Okay. And yeah, so when I tested it, I felt that you could go up to 60 milligrams. That's about the high amount that I want to go with most people. Okay. Unless you are a large sumo wrestler. Okay. Then I might go up. Okay. But 60 milligrams is good. But I was talking to a client yesterday, and she was taking her zinc only in the morning. And morning is not the best time to take zinc. Zinc is better in the lunchtime and dinner time. All right. So just try to take them. So Susan, I would do both of those. Ashwagandha is fine, and as well as zinc. Okay. And ashwagandha with you, yeah. I feel strongly that you would benefit from taking them with food. Okay. So that's one thing I wanted to mention. All right, Chris, thank you. Do you have anything else to add to the ashwagandha, Chris? Or
Yeah, I would say in addition to adaptogens like ashwagandha or rhodiola is another one, and I'll type that into in the chat.
yeah, I actually
Um,
tested rhodiola on Susan, and it was not
yeah,
for
what I wanted
her.
to say, I talk about this a lot too, is that we have to remember that stress in our bodies is essentially a blood sugar reaction. And so when we're trying to counter the effects of stress, we have to really look at how much we're consuming as far as sugar goes. So in snacks and drinks and even just meals that we eat. So that's another thing to keep in mind is you need to ask yourself if you are artificially keeping your stress levels high through dietary sugar, because
Mm-hmm.
that's really the only way that our body has to respond to stress is by elevating blood sugar levels to get emergency energy. So I wanted to say that, but then there are a couple of nutrients in addition that we have a very high burn rate in stress that we need to pay attention to. The first one's magnesium. So there's a measurable burn rate when our stress levels go up, and it depletes our magnesium stores. So that's one area to look at is a good bioavailable magnesium source. And a couple of kinds that you might look at are like a magnesium malate or aspartate or even a citrate, but something that is known to be bioavailable. So that's another thing that can really help support regulating your blood sugar and your energy during stress. And Masami already mentioned zinc, that's a big one. And then one other nutrient would be vitamin B6, because that's a huge one in regulating enzyme production, energy levels, all kinds of functions in the body that become compromised in stress times. So I'll stop
Yeah.
there. We could go on, but that's
Yeah,
what I
and
thought.
this goes for a lot of us actually right now. But Susan, when I read your question, immediately I thought, ooh, your blood sugar is dysregulated. So just taking ashwagandha just because it's good for you is probably not going to do a whole lot. Okay. It just might be something you take and you go, well, it hasn't done much for me. Number one, you got to take them long term, okay, to really feel it. And number two, if your blood sugar is dysregulated, nothing can get adjusted because your body is basically in the place of I must survive. And your brain is a very glucose rich organ, meaning it requires 25 to 30% of your glucose energy. So if you're not giving yourself the right nutrients throughout the day, not eat, snack, but just the regular, really good meals and sitting down to digest them, taking some ashwagandha isn't going to do much. Okay. So that's something to think about. It's like probably blood sugar needs to come first. Second will be, I would say, zinc, magnesium, B6, and ashwagandha will be the last one. Okay. That's how I would do it. Otherwise, it's just not going to make a huge difference. Okay. And garlic was good to stabilize blood sugar. Yes and no. And I can see why garlic would be, because it's helpful for your liver, right? Sulfur-based foods, and it's great for your liver detox. So Carla, what it does is it'll support you in terms of helping your liver to do its job, right? To do its cleansing and detoxing and filtering stuff out of your system. So in that sense, garlic is good, but garlic is more used in terms of like, I lived in Korea too, and then garlic is a giant, thing. We just eat garlic all day long in Korea. Like before you even land at Seoul airport, you could start to smell garlic in that country. But it's very much for fungus, yeast, and mold, and like a candida issues. If you have vaginal, like an inflammation in the vaginal area, that's a great one to eat. I love garlic pickles and things like that, Asian style. So that's fine, but I wouldn't say that's going to necessarily stabilize the blood sugar, but the liver is a very important organ, right, for stabilizing your blood sugar. So in turn, it'll probably help. Okay. And garlic is great for most people. Okay. However, if you do have certain genetic makeup or the liver that doesn't detoxify that well, for instance, somebody like me, I do not do well with raw garlic. Okay. So if I eat garlic that is not fully cooked or pickled or been roasted or something like that, I will not digest garlic. And I will literally be burping up garlic for the next 3 days, and I will smell like garlic for the next 3 days. Okay. That's because my body is like, I cannot move this thing through. Okay. So be aware of that. That's just genetically, that's how you are. You're probably never going to change that. Okay. About that. So raw onions, raw garlic are not my thing. They all need to be cooked for me. Okay. And okay, you answered Patricia's. Yeah. Okay. So you're good. And then licorice root is what I like to help my adrenals and to maintain the blood sugar level. Yeah, licorice root's great. Licorice root is something that I don't recommend people do long term. Okay, because it can kind of get in the way of your heart issues. So if you don't have any heart issues, you could probably do that, Richard, for a long time. But I would go in and out of, doing licorice root sometimes, dandelion root sometimes, burdock root sometimes, and maybe other kind of roots, okay? Maybe turmeric kind of a thing, ginger, those are all roots, right? So I would mix it around because licorice root can get in the way with high blood pressure issues, okay? Not that you have that issue, but you don't want to get stuck in doing the same roots, okay? And this was a private message that came in, but it's about sprained finger. Okay, so this is, when it comes to sprained finger or sprained ankle or sprained any soft tissues or, even the not so soft tissues like ligaments and connective tissues, you have to look at your B vitamins, okay? If you're not taking enough B vitamins or your B vitamins are not being processed, then the sprained ankles and your ligaments and connective tissues will have a harder time healing because it doesn't have the ingredients necessary to heal. Okay. And the B vitamins get used up when you're under stress, especially B6. And B6 is very important in terms of not only ligament health, okay, bone health and ligament health and soft tissue health, but it's also important for digestion as well as your liver detox, as well as producing your sex hormones. Okay, so having a very stable hormones, you need B vitamins, but particularly B6. So for you, B6 is good, B1, B2, no, B3, B12. Yes, those are good. So those are the ones that I would look for and make sure that they are absorbable kinds. They are, you know, you may want to do liquid kinds if you could find them. So anything to add to that, Chris?
Two things. One would be zinc, because zinc is a vital nutrient for healing of tissues that are damaged. And another one would be making sure that you're both eating and digesting adequate proteins. So this goes back to your stomach digestion, levels of stomach acid being sufficient, and making sure you're breaking down protein into amino acids, because if you're not getting enough of those, again, the repair of those soft tissues is going to be very slow. And it might feel like, especially with a sprain, and I'm holding my own thumb here because I slightly sprained my thumb a few weeks ago on this bathroom project that Masami mentioned. And so I've been feeling that also, and it's something I'm paying attention to. And I am taking extra amino acids additionally to the food that I'm eating to help with that healing process. So those are a couple of big ones.
Yeah, and then I think, you know, coming back to the sprained ankles or fingers or joints, and then they just don't heal, you know, 3 months later, even 6 months later, and you're just like, oh, and you keep doing the PT, you keep doing the, you know, exercises that they tell you to, and it just doesn't get better. We have to look at what's going on with your digestion because you are not digesting the raw materials, meaning materials, building blocks to build your tissues back on. And your body's allocating necessary ingredients to keep you sustained on this earth, like your heart, your brain, right? So it's not going to the ligaments and tissues to heal them. Okay. So what I would focus on, like Chris said, is that things like digesting protein really well. So if you're not digesting them and you're under a lot of stress, then I would get maybe like amino acids powder or amino acid supplements that's already digested form of amino acids. So you're not just eating like a hamburger that's hard to digest or something. And zinc is also a key ingredient, like Chris mentioned, for digestion, for your liver. I mean, zinc does like 60 different things. Okay. So it's like a must. And on the side note, everyone, I wanted to tell, I guess my hair has to go this way so that it doesn't make noise. Okay. So when it comes to zinc, I wanted to tell you guys something. And then I wanted to mention this maybe in October sometime, but it's worth mentioning it today, and I'll mention it again, is that when you do zinc too many months at a time and too long high dose, like everybody's talking about immune system, everybody takes zinc. Okay. If you're starting to notice that your emotions are up and down, you feel like you have split personalities going on, you feel like you're 65 years old and you're still having almost feeling like a PMS starting to show up, you're starting to have brain fog, you can't seem to focus. Okay. I need you to just take a little break from that zinc. Okay. As much as we love zinc, you also need to take a break from zinc, because what happens, particularly with women's body, okay, female bodies, we have estrogen that comes into this mixture. And come with the estrogen is this thing called copper, okay? Copper and estrogen, they tend to go together, and that can start to come out. And you can create a copper imbalanced body from taking way too much zinc. So those are some of the emotions and some of the just the feeling tones that you're going for. You just go gosh, yeah, I can't seem to focus. I'm having a lot of emotional ups and downs. I cry over just about anything. I get so angry. The driving on the highways are starting to really get to me because everybody's emotions coming at me. My sensitivity is heightened. You're an empath, but the empathic abilities have gone to the point that you can't even get out of your own house because it just feels too much. Okay, you need to look at how much zinc have you been taking and how long you have been, and maybe pull back a little bit, give yourself a little bit of break, maybe a 1 week or two, see if that can settle down, then maybe reintroduce. Okay, that's very important, everyone. Okay, so all right, I think I got
There's
most of
one more
it, but
question.
okay.
There's one more question from Deborah about glutathione. And if you don't mind, I'll jump in on that one because I'm a huge fan of glutathione. It's kind of like the liver's, so the liver does over 500 functions that we know about. And for all of us, we live in a time when our livers are not only working hard, and by the way, the liver is called the liver because in English, that's what people understood is the thing that lives the body. It's the liver of the body. That's the actual origin of the word. Um, those 500 functions are often curtailed or incapacitated in some way due to pollution, toxicity, stress, all the different things that are pushing on us. So glutathione is a major detoxifying antioxidant that the liver produces. It is extremely vital to our health overall and to liver function. Many of us don't produce enough of it to gain the full effect. So if you are having that digestive sluggishness or trouble sleeping or some of these symptoms that are common for just low grade gradual toxification where you're exhausted, fatigued, you just can't seem to focus clearly, all of those could back up to being signs of liver dysfunction. And so glutathione is something that, again, I personally find it very helpful, and I take it most days. Just a simple, like one-time dose, morning and evening. And I personally find it useful. Not everybody's going to find that it helps them the same way, but if you notice a difference taking it, it's a safe thing for you to take. Don't overdo it. It's not like money. More of it doesn't always mean it's better. Um, so pay attention to what happens as you take it. But it's definitely a helpful tool.
And glutathione is kind of a individual, really individualized.
Yes,
So
yes.
Chris does well with it. I kind of go off and on with it. It's just I can feel sometimes my liver is maybe detoxing too fast.
Mhm.
But one of the things it's my signature for glutathione needs, okay, is when my body starts to say, okay, this is going to be gross, everyone, okay, I'm cleaning my ear, okay, after I wash my face in the evening or something, and I'm cleaning my ear and I'm like, oh, that's really gluey, like sticky. And I do look at it and it's really yellow or almost like orangey color and it's sticky. Okay. That's when I start taking glutathione for about a week. Okay. Or I start to sense that my stools are starting to look thin, like they're pencil thin, okay, or they're floating, okay, then I know I have the colon inflammation. And that's when I do increase the glutathione. But I'm not one of those people that take glutathione all the time. It's just, it doesn't sit well with me. And then, as many of you know, I muscle test myself on the supplements that I take pretty much every day. So, that's one of the things that I pay attention to. But the glue ear is a big one. Once I start to get that, I'm like, yep, my liver is not filtering things right. So I need to add that filtration support. And then that goes away for me within a day or two, it's gone. So it's pretty fast for me. So,
I
and
want to add.
I'm a Pitta Vata, so things change pretty fast for me. For Chris, he's more of a Kapha. So as you know, Kapha moves slowly, right? So in his case, it takes a little longer for him to start to feel the difference.
I wanted to add to that for me, part of my history is traumatic brain injury. And so for people that have had those kinds of injuries, oftentimes that will impact things like stress hormone production, and just general hormone production from the brain in particular. And that can have a downstream effect on your liver function and your detoxification. So if you are somebody that's had that, or if you are noticing just signs of toxicity creeping up, like Masami said, check with how your body responds to it. My body gets very relaxed and happy when I take glutathione. So I know that it's a good thing for me. And if I get to the point where it doesn't feel that way, I just feel neutral, I won't take it. So I check myself as well every time that I take supplements.
So Penny asked, how much dose? That'll definitely depend, but Penny, if you don't mind, I will actually post that answer on the Facebook, okay? Because I don't exactly know, because what I take is much, much smaller than Chris's. So I will post that up. And then I had another private message that came in. If you could, if the questions are not so personal, if you could try to post it to everyone, I think everybody can benefit. And it's okay if you have to do private, that's okay. All right. So one of the questions that came in is that I pee very soon after I drink water, and generally all morning to early afternoon. Doc says nothing, not diabetic or anything. Okay. So when somebody pees that quickly, you're absolutely losing your electrolyte. Okay. And your basically cells are not available for the cells to absorb the fluids into the body, right? So this is not necessarily something that you want to take lightly just because the doctor says, that you don't have a diabetes or anything. So the problem is that the water that you're drinking is what you need to pay attention to. What kind of water is this? Is this a tap water? Does this have a fluoride in it? Does it have a chlorine in it? Okay, and then also you've got to add a pinch of sea salt. And that we will be doing some workshop on iodine in October, but adding a little bit of liquid iodine. And one of the things that have dramatically helped us with these kind of same issues is to add electrolytes like potassium. Powdered potassium is what we put in our water constantly. So if you want to know which one I use, you can email me. Okay, just go to the Zenshin Institute.com or masamikavi.com. It's the same place. It'll land on the same place. Write me an email and I'll tell you which one I use. And you can get them from me, or you can get them from a store or something like that. Okay, so, but I would add the minerals back into the body so that the body recognizes that the water you're drinking is something that needs to be absorbed. Okay. Chris used to be, I think some of you know, I used to call him the fish because he would just drink huge amount of water and it'll just go straight through him. And he was actually losing his energy, his chi, his prana by doing that. So that's a good one to start with. Okay. All right. I think I'm going to wrap up soon. But Chris, did you have anything else to add?
No, I think that was good. Just when you're having those kind of inability to hold fluids, definitely looking to your minerals, the electrolyte minerals. So you mentioned those: calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium are all vital. So yeah.
Okay, good, Penny. Yeah. So yeah. So I think that'll help. The electrolyte is the key, so you have to look at the water. And even the spring water may require a little bit more potassium. And when I tune into you, Penny, the potassium is good. Magnesium, no. The sea salt will be good. Iodine is total yes. Anything else to add to that water? There's this hydrating kind of a liquid that I use too. So will you just email me and I will tell you which one I use. It's a liquid hydrator that I use. And Richard, at some point we will address the head injury because you're in good company, because Chris has injured his head so many times. It's a miracle that he's actually here right now, but he broke his back in 4 places and he landed on a rock going 40 miles an hour on the mountain bike and landed straight on his 7th chakra. No wonder his 7th chakra is so wide open, and cracked his helmet in 3. So he knows all about head injuries and what that ended up taking him into this great, deep, dark night of the soul in, journey for a long, long time. He went through a deep depression for a long time after that. So definitely we need to address that. Head injuries will impact your entire system. Even if it happened 40 years ago, even if it happened when you're 8 years old, it doesn't matter. It will have an impact on your body. So, and you can fix it, but it's something that you want to be very kind and understanding about your head injuries. Okay. Yes, love you, Sue. I love your daughter too. Okay, I instinctively grabbed my black walnut tincture the other day, and doesn't that have iodine? Yes, it does, but it's walnuts are great for other minerals too, and so it's a wonderful thing to put in. You might want to muscle test yourself, and then you do muscle test fine to that, so you might want to start adding that, but I wouldn't just stop there. I would definitely do potassium. Okay, potassium, everyone. We need about 4.7 grams of potassium per day for most women. For men, you need like 6 grams of potassium. So that includes eating vegetables, avocados, doing potassium powder, potassium liquids, things like that. Okay. But I wouldn't do too much coconut water at this point, everyone, if you live in North Hemisphere. Okay. Coconut water is high in sugar and it's very cooling. It's a yin food. So yin food can make your body temperature go down. That's another time that I will talk about. But the body temperature is extremely important. When your body temperature starts to go down, there's something not quite right going on in your body. Okay. So, all right. Yes, thank you, Mary. I'm glad. Oh, Ariel, you could join. Yay. Great, great. I'm so glad to see your name pop up. Thank you, everyone. And I think that's it, right? Did I cover everything? Okay. Good to see you, Carla. Oh, Ariel, I can see you too. Don't worry, nobody's on the screen. It's just me. So, hey, Colleen. Okay, good. Well, you guys just made my day. So thank you so much. And hopefully you can use the hand, attend to your own self. Okay. And I'll read that proverb one more time before I end. So what you cannot find in your body, you will not find anywhere else. Okay. So it's something I would like for you to pay attention to. Don't look outside of you. If you need kindness, look inside you. If you need somebody to deeply listen to you, do the hand breathing meditation. Okay. And I read one more quote, and I promise this is it, everyone. Okay. It says, the body knows to protect itself because the body thinks faster than the mind. Body knows to protect itself because the body thinks faster than the mind. Okay. So we have to go into our bodies because this is where the answer is. Okay. Go here first and integrate the right brain, left brain, front and back, top, bottom, side to side. And then I will be recording my October call soon. And so look for that in the email. So thank you so much for everyone showing up.
Thank you.